welcome, Lockdown Workshop. Just finished shooting one of the other ones, TT bars on whatnot. So again, apologies if I start making funny noises. My back is spasming. I fell down and landed with my lower floating ribs on my back, my kidneys on a metal step. So at the moment, I'm getting a lot of back spasms, and I can't cough, and everything hurts, and I'm not a very happy bunny. So what's this one about? Well, I don't know. I might be chasing rabbits with this one. This chain whip is useless. I had it on the other day, and I thought, is it me, or is it just that it's designed for a different thing? I think it's designed for a narrower chain setup, because it just seems to really struggle with these chains. This is going to make me squeal. There we go. Right, so what are we doing? Why are we taking this off? Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, 2 miles whether I should be doing this or not. I've got a 100-mile Frondo race this weekend, so I've got 6 days. This frame, this bike, the orange bike, Reggie Jr., has had some issues from being new. Well, say new, since I put it together, that it's always had this clunk with the bottom bracket, and I was convinced it was the bottom bracket, and I have taken the bottom bracket to pieces. I've replaced the bottom bracket, I've replaced the pedal pairings, I've replaced the pedals, I've done all sorts. I've swapped out what I thought was a known good. Somebody mentioned yesterday, have you thought it might be your cassette or your free hub? I kind of went, no, not really, because I'm still getting the same clunk even when I've got the other wheel set on. But then it set me off thinking, as you do, you challenge everything. Well, at least I do. I don't automatically assume I'm right. And I thought, well, actually, do you know what? Let me have a think about that. And what I came to the conclusion was, well, actually, do you know what? It is worse when I've got these wheels on. So I haven't really done anything with these wheels since I put them on. So I thought, well, I'll just strip them down, have a quick look at them. I've no idea how to get the free hub out of these. It's a universal free hub as far as I'm aware. So I think it does SRAM and CAMPAG possibly. Now that in itself could be a problem because of the way that the free hub is. Now what I'm looking for is any marks on the free hub to suggest that the cog has been moving or shifting. The other thing I need to be looking at as well is whether or not we've got any play on any of these. Whether any of these are actually moving on their racks. It's more likely to be the second set of these. Can't feel anything. So that would explain it, because you get a movement as you did it, or if these were shifting on the thing. But what I'm seeing here is there's no sign of it at all. A little bit maybe on that one. Got nothing. So the only thing it could possibly be is if the paws aren't engaging properly, and therefore it's shifting, or we've got a duck bearing on the freewheel hub. So I'm just going to take this lot out and just check it to give it a bit of a sanity check. Because it could be I've got a problem with both wheels, but it did seem to be this one was worse. I've got to take the tyre off on this anyway. This isn't the original set of tyres on it, and this set of tyres have degraded. I've actually worn them out. There's a couple of nicks, and the sidewalls are starting to go on them. I'll be honest, I've not been over enamoured, and the last few times I've been out, actually I've been slipping a bit. Now you can probably see that's why, is the tyres degrading, so that might be why. I put it down to me just being nesh, but no, I've had a couple of near misses recently where I have nearly been off the bike and I've run out of road because I've not had the confidence to lean the bike in, because I'd had a couple of near misses the week before where I did lean the bike in and I ended up on a 2-wheel drift. And now I know why. It's because the tyres have gone. They're not grippy anymore. So these are coming off anyway. But while I've got the wheel off, I thought, well, we'll just take the hub out. We'll have a look at that and see if there's anything going on there that I can see or attribute to either a bearing going or there's some play. It doesn't feel like it. It feels there's no play that way. I can't feel anything in there at all, really. There's nothing that's making me feel that there's any problems, but we'll get into it and we'll have a good look at it when I've been nabbed to pieces. I'm guessing this is similar to a fulcrum. So you just have to crack this nut off, and then I think you can get the whole freewheel hub off. I think they're fairly straightforward. I don't think I need to touch the bearings. They feel good, but I'll stick my fingers in and have a little play with them. That's not the right size, it's a 5. Now, do I do it that side or this side? I think I do it this side. And I seem to remember it's a I have to do it as if I'm doing it up. Yeah. I think that's the right way. Feels very tight, but it is coming undone. There we go. Looks a bit crusty in there. So I stack them down as they come off. Don't know if there's another spacer or that's it. Oh, that does look a bit crusty in there. A fair bit of corrosion under that. That's why it was quite graunchy getting it off. Right, so this should come off now. Look at that, straight off. Right, so initial inspection. Pores look okay. I'm not seeing anything that suggests that they're not sitting right in their seats. That was a little bit grumbly. No, they all feel okay. I think we'll just give it a quick clean out and check it and then put it back together again. I will check the bearings on the inside, just check that they feel okay. There's a little bit of drag on that one. The inside one feels fine. That feels okay. So if anything, this one possibly a little bit of drag on it, but it feels smooth enough. I'm spinning that round and it feels fine. The one on the inside feels brilliant. That one on the outside possibly could be a bit noisy. I can hear something if I'm running it, but would it be enough to make it clunk? I don't think so. I can't remember how to get them out either. I think they're just a straight press. I don't think there's a retaining ring, though it is a bit... just get a pick in there and just have a quick poke at it. Sometimes they have a funny retaining washer, but I don't think these do. I think these are just a straight pressed in fit, and then the washer I've just put in keeps them all in check. Yeah. Not seeing anything in there that would one thing I don't know is if I've got any spares that would fit this. Probably have. They're a fairly standard size. There's a little bit there, but it's not, do you know what, it's not enough to cause me any concerns. Let's see what this looks like. That looks fine as well. Not seeing anything, there's a lot of grease in there, so that's all the original grease still in there, that's fine. That thread looks a pretty manky state of affairs though, so we'll get some some anti-seize on that when we put it back together again, because that looks like it's definitely had some galvanic corrosion going on. Just clean the thread out. Yeah, that thread's in a bit of a... I'll have to run that in and out a couple of times, clean it off. But that feels fine. The only one I've got a question about is this outer one. Oh, that was a big one. I can feel something. It's not much, but let me see if I've got a bearing for that. Bring you back. Well, what can I say? Other than that, flipping back. The stash has failed me. I've got one similar size, but it's about 8 or 9 mil, and these need to be 5 mil. It's a, if you're wanting to do this yourself, the bearing size, it's a 6803 bearing, which I think is a 17/26/5. So 26 outer diameter, 26 millimeter outer diameter, 17 millimeter inner diameter, 5 millimeter thick, and it's a sealed bull race. I've got no reason to doubt that the one on the other side isn't exactly the same. So we'll have to have a look at that. I think when we come to get it out, I think I'm probably going to have to work out how we drive it out, because they're not the easiest things to get out where it is, because it's got a collar in it. Now I've ordered a couple anyway, but normally what you'd have to do is either drive it out from the other side, which is okay, but potentially if you want to save the other bearing, you cause yourself a bit of a problem. Now what I can do is I can turn it upside down like that and knock it with a rift on that side, and then just keep shifting that collar out the way and keep doing it until I wriggle it out. There's no reason to suspect why it won't come out. And what I will do in the meantime is I'll just leave a bit of WD-40 soaking around the back. Hopefully they'll come tomorrow and I can crack on with this tomorrow. Because I've knackered my back, I won't be running tomorrow, so I could quite possibly be in here again. I suspect I'm going to go and jump in the bath now, because this isn't getting any better, and it's actually starting to hurt higher up in my ribs. I think what I'll do in the meantime is I'm going to clean up all that gubbins over there, which you can't see, which is what I took off the bike for the last video. So there's an entire Ultegra 6800 group set there, and we'll get that cleaned down, and there's a set of Dida bars, they're carbon bars with a Dida Quattro 2 stem on it, so we'll ship them out as well. I've got no need for them. I told you what I do to keeping them. I do like them Dida bars. They're really comfortable, and they've served me well, but they don't match the bike I've got now, and I've no plans to get any more road bikes, so we will see. Somebody has offered me a frame, which I may take, and I may decide to build it up as a bike, but I've got this problem is that I don't have any wheels. So even if I build up a bike, I don't have a set of wheels for it, so I could put the Planet X AL30s on and just ride these Campag Zondas through the winter now, because these Zondas here are starting to get they're starting to crack on a bit now. These are about 8 years old, but they're a good wheel. I don't really want to start using them in the winter unless I've got a better summer wheel. So I've been looking at some carbon wheels other than the big stupid silly dished ones I've got on at the moment, and I've had to put that on Reggie as well. But it is what it is. I did see somebody selling a pair of these for about 80 quid on eBay, but the problem is with these wheels is that if you buckle them, it's almost impossible to straighten them out again because of the spoke pan. The front wheel's fine, but the back wheel isn't. So we'll have to see what we do with that. You know, if I can pick up a set of cheap axle rim wheels or something to stick on this bike, then that's fine. It's kind of it's going to be a bit. It's going to be a bit of a funny one because people don't want to spend a lot of money on an aluminium bike because it's an aluminium frame with some carbon forks. So the group set's worth 200 to 250, depending on how clean I get it. People are selling them for 350, 400, but they're deluded. The real value secondhand, what they're actually selling for is 200 to 250. I think I'll get 250 for it. If I bide my time, I don't need to sell it. I'm chucking in a brand new set of brake pads, so that's, you know, that's best part 20 quid anyway. The chainring's hardly had any use at all on that chainring because it's a new chainring. So I think we're pretty good. I always change chains regularly anyway, so I think we're good to go. The brakes are fine. The shifters are brilliant. There's not a mark on them. They were some I bought last year 2 years ago to build the bike up. I did get them second hand, but they came off a bike that I got the impression that it had been a ride to work scheme job. It had done 0 miles, and they realised that they could get more for it taking it to pieces, so they've sold it in bits. So those shifters haven't seen anything. Not like the shifters on my bike, which have got big chunks missing out of them. But hey ho, you know, I could swap them over and do exactly the same thing to them. So I might as well sell them. You can see there's no shoe wear on the Ultegra crank as well. So you know, it's all good. We'll see. We'll ship that out. And if I decide to build a bike up, probably tops I could sell the bike for is about 500 with an Ultegra group set on. So, you know, if it's going to cost me, you know, 50, 60, 70, 100 quid to get a set of wheels, and then I've got to do all the cabling and everything else, it's kind of, well, you know, what do I do? Do I just sell the group set for 250 rather than faff about trying to put all the cabling on, put some bar tape on, find a saddle for it? You know, it all starts to add up. And by the time I've done that, I'm not going to make any, you know, I'm literally going to clear. The only thing that's going to save it is the fact that I've been given the frame. So I could just get a straight 250 quid and not faff about with anything. So we'll see where that leaves us. Do I want another frame? I did on my mind a bit, but if they said it's free, I'll have a look at it. You know, I might decide to sell it on and clean it up, but I'm not sure it's entirely. If it had been a full carbon, you know, I could have definitely got 500 quid plus for it with an Ultegra group set on and a reasonable set of wheels. But Planet X Pro carbons with the half Ultegra group set on are selling for 350, 400. So it's kind of, the arse has kind of dropped out of the bike. Everybody bought bikes, and now the market's flooded with either ridiculously priced bikes that people aren't selling, or loads and loads and loads of mid-range bikes going for next to nothing. So it is what it is. We kind of figured it was going to happen. It's kind of a bit of a buyer's market at the moment, not a seller's market, which is why I'm kind of in a good position, really. Because at the moment I could do with buying an upgraded newer bike, but I won't sell my own bike. I'll just end up using it for winter or turn it into a TT bike or something like that. But and there it is. And I've got to sell the other TT bike fairly quickly as well. While we're still in tri-season. Right, we'll call it there, and I'll bring you back when my bearings have appeared. So we'll just leave this lot here. Right, whoop! Ow! Nothing's changed. The back's still spasming. Parts cannon loaded. Parts cannon delivered. Set of new tyres for my favourite rims, and set of bearings for the freewheel hub. So we'll get that one out. I'm still not convinced it's knackered, but it's I can feel something, so I'm going to change it anyway. And then release that way we know. The inside one feels fine, but I might knock them both out. I might chuck it in the parts washer as well, actually, and give it a good clean. I've cranked the parts washer up. I've just greased that down as well. So, not the parts washer, the ultrasonic cleaner. It's really good for stuff like that. It's got intricate components in it. So I'm just waiting till it warms up. We'll stick that in, give that a good clean before we put it back together. And also the bike fairies bin as well. So we've had some more victims delivered. Same person. So this is Jerry. She's the one who brought the XC last year that was dead on its feet. Well, she's been at it again. So she was out riding, and I think she came off fairly early on in the race. She was expecting to win the race, and that's how hardcore she is. Wiped out the derailleur. I was looking for that. So another hanger gone. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find the history on this bike, whether it was bought brand new or whether she got it second hand, because I think there was some damage done to that already, because the screw that locates it in the frame had ripped the frame mounting out on the other side as well. But that looks like it was done before because it was packed solid with mud in there. And also there's a couple other bits I wasn't 100% with on the hanger as well. So possibly residue of glue on the hanger. So the hanger might have already been snapped once and glued back together by the previous owner, or I'm just not reading the signs right. Anyway, we've ordered a hanger for this one. I know I normally strip them down, but I needed just to get the hanger off to find out what it was I needed. I'll need to give this bike a clean out before I work on it. I just dragged it in here so I could have a quick look at the bits I need. She's brought another one as well. This one just wants checking over and some tyres putting on it. These tyres that are on are absolutely shot apparently. So yeah, there's not a lot. They're getting quite low on tread, so and I think they're leaking. So we'll stick some new tyres on there as well. You can see where it's all oozing out. So we'll get them sorted out. Yeah, it's oozing out all over, and they're pretty squishy. They're a bit rotten. So we'll swap them over. I'm told these are tubeless, so hopefully just be able to give these a quick clean up. I will need to clean them before I put them on because they won't seal like that. No, we'll see where we go. I'm not bad at the old tubeless, but they're not my favourite things to do. So we'll have a look. I'm not 100% convinced they are tubeless tyres, to be honest. I don't think they're tubeless. I think they're tubed. In which case we can just slap them tyres on and we'll give the bike a once over and send it on its way. Similar setup to mine actually. It's a very early 29er, I think. Yes, 29er, but it's got quick release on the back, through axle on the front, which is what mine's got on it. Yeah, got Reggie there with his big back wheel on, because his other wheel's over here. Anyway, right, let's crack on. We don't want this to turn into another epic. So let's get you you can actually see what's going on. Yeah, I think you can see the wheel. Oh, the struggle is real. Struggle is wheel. Right. What am I going to do for grease? Do I use the good grease or do I use the shit grease? It's got good grease on it. I think that's good grease. It's not quite white grease, but it's not lithium grease, that's certain. Right, so the trick is you don't want to overpack these. Now, I'm still yet to decide whether we chuck this in the water bath or not. The trouble is, if I chuck it in the water bath, it's going to make a right row. Let's get rid of that. We don't need it for a minute. Make sure the bits are in there. They're not going to get lost. You don't fall over. I have got to put some new tyres on there as well. I think I decided yesterday that possibly the best way to get these out was to drive them out with a punch. If I can remember where to put all my punches. Oh, they're upstairs. Let's see if we can find something else to drive them out with. What have we got? could do with an old bit of brass bar for this, but I haven't got anything like that. And in the old days, you'd use a screwdriver, but if you overshoot, you knacker it up. So I don't know if I showed you yesterday. There's a collar in here between the two bearings, so I can knock it to one side, so I can actually see a lip of the bearing. So potentially, I could drive it out. I do have a device for pulling them out, but because that thing's in the way, I can't get it in there. So I'm going to have to improvise. And I think possibly the only way to do that is to use, I might do it, just use something. Probably going to scream in a minute. Ah, there we go. Ribs go again. Right. So I'm just going to sit that on the, and then if I push it over on the other side, give it a couple of taps, and then repeat on the other side, give it a couple of taps, bearing out. Ah, hold on a second. Oh well, that looks pretty crusty on there, and the it's nicely packed full of grease, but it's not. That's interesting. It's only sealed on one side. And I think it's the same with that one as well. It's very interesting. So it could very well be this bearing is knackered. Now I've got it out and I can. Yeah, that doesn't feel good. Let's see how they compare to the other ones I've just taken out. See, these are packed on both sides, so yep. So I'm now wondering whether I just drive that out and take the whole thing out. Because if that's open and muck's got in, then it's probably got into this one as well. So this is where we find out there's a. So be very careful, because I've had this before, that on the other bearing there's a retaining clip. So I'm just going to clear out some of this. The grease has actually gone off. It's gone like wax, and it's the same stuff you can see on the hub as I bring the hub out. And if you saw the hub, it's got like a white stuff on it. I'm just trying to feel if there's a. I think there is a retaining clip in there. So, and this grease smells awful. You know, like it's gone bad. I think there's a retaining clip in there. So let me get my poker in. Yep, there's a retaining. There's a circlip in there. It's quite a small one though. So I've had this before. Look, I've not checked, and I've assumed there wasn't one in there, and it was just the collar that was holding them both in. And then you start to drive it out, and suddenly realise you've mashed your entire. My fingers on it before it disappears. There you go. Number one article there. Right, let's get more of this grease out. That's not annoying. How is that possible? That one does feel all right, but that one's open on one side as well. So potentially we could have cleaned these out, and that one definitely feels loose. That one doesn't feel so bad. You tend to find it's always the outbound one that goes first because it's got the most pressure on it. So they didn't cost me very much, these. About £8 for 2 of them. So we will work out how to get these in. I'm still wondering whether to just drop this in the parts washer and then bring you back when I've done it, because it makes a horrible noise. Doesn't look like any of the bearing surfaces are damaged. I can't see any cracks either, so I think we're fine. Right. Oh, there goes the back again. So every time I lean over to do something. Right, let's just chuck that in. Let's chuck that in. I don't think we need to chuck that in. Or that. Be interesting to see what happens when I chuck them in. Let's chuck the ball bearings in as well. Set it for 30 minutes. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, that's still got 10 minutes to go. Don't cough, don't cough. Stop laughing at me. So I'm just swapping the tyres over. I've done them on the other wheel. Doing them on this wheel. I'll not bring you for this. The other wheel went on without any dramas. Exhibit here. Cleaned it up a little bit. Nice new rubber. Gone for Rubinos. I used to run these all the time. I've struggled to get them recently, but these dropped up relatively cheap. About 14 quid each, which, if you know about tyres nowadays, you'll know that's phenomenally cheap. Just got to work out which way to seat them. Bring you back when the screaming banshee in the... No, there goes the back again. So every time I go to speak when I haven't spoken for a while. God, you think you've gone deaf when that thing kicks off. Oh, actually look half decent. To say they were pretty scummy. They've done a bad job of them, actually. There's still some of the heavier stuff on the teeth, but it's normally the stuff in between I can't get to, and it's cleaned them out lovely. That might be the way forwards. I think if I put them in again and it was up to temperature, because it's not fully up to temperature yet, they'd come up rather nice. It's even cleaned all the muck out of the grooves on that. See what it's done for this. Oh, look at that. That's not done a bad job, actually, that. Quite pleased with that. There you go. Yeah, you just need to be careful when you're putting rubber seals in. See what it's done for the bearings. Yeah, they're a bit mushy. There was some bit of grease and shit in the back of there. Some schnizzle. So I probably should have blown them out before I put them in. So it always helps to give your balls a good blowout. I think that was the better of the two. Yeah, that was definitely the shitty. The more I feel this bearing, the more I realise it probably had gone, and it might be this it was clunking. So we shall see, won't we? We shall certainly see at the weekend, because it's going on a long ride and everything else is the same on the bike. I've not changed. Oh dear, that hurt. I've been told it's predominantly flat, so it shouldn't be too bad. And I'll leave my rather more aggressive setup on, and we'll see how we go with that. That's done a good job of that. Quite pleased with that. I'll chuck that back in. I might do that a few more minutes when we've finished assembling this. So what do we need? We need a bit of lube. So lube. Lost me lube. Not going to reach over, because when I reach over, that's what hurts. Bearings. Just make sure I've not picked up any of the crap out of that. I need to clean them dishes out. Right, just want a bit of oil on these. Can you be watching what we're doing? No, we're watching what we're doing, are we? How are we, man? I'm just going to put a bit of... Just like, bear with me a minute. I've got flipping bees and wasps and all sorts in here. Don't keep getting in the web. If you keep getting in the web, the spider's going to get you. Right. Enough of rescuing things. Let us... right, that's about the right size. So usual drill, we're just going to use a drift to knock these in, but we're going to use a socket. Just need to get it past this first bit, and then it'll... hopefully it'll drop through. As we've already discovered, there's a bit of a recess. So this is going to be fiddly as anything. And I've got to try and keep it on the rim. That actually fits quite nicely. I think that's in. We will find out in a second. Oh, there goes my back again. Now, I'm not entirely sure why they filled this full of grease, because no, that does make sense, because it was an open bearing, but the grease never went anywhere near it. So these are sealed bearings, so they may or may not last as long as the other bearings. Now, what we need to do with this one is just knock it down so it touches snug on the top of that other one. But not so it's overly tight. You know when you got it there, because this will feel like there's some resistance moving the... That feels like it's just dropped in. Yep. So I can now feel that there's a bit of resistance when you're moving that thing around. That's okay. Just... It's a tad tight, so I'm just using the weight of the bearings just to throw themselves out. You know you've got it because the inner piece will move around a bit more freely. It feels okay, it just feels a little bit more draggy than it should be, so I'm kind of a little bit wary that I might have just knocked it in a bit too tight. Oh, God, that hurt. That's it now. Yeah, it's nearly there. Yep. So it's just enough to shock the bearing itself down, because I don't want to press on that middle ring, because then if I press on that middle ring, it's going to potentially damage the bearings and put a groove in them. No, that feels fine now. Now we do want some grease in this bit. So this is where we need some grease. We're not going to use that bit of grease because it's flipping filthy. So always be wary when you're squirting grease out of these grease guns that there might be... So we just want a bit of grease in there just to help the slide through and to keep it nicely lubed up. Same round this out a bit as well. we'll grease up the fronds there, but we also need to grease these now. For these, what I'm going to use is, I think what you're supposed to use is lithium for these. So I'm just going to put some lithium paste on them. Now the trick is with this, not to overpack them, because it will actually stop the tangs from working properly. Not hurt if I shove any in there. So, bring back exhibit A. Which hasn't got the collar inside lined up, which is why it's not wanting to go on. Should better wiggle it back in though. Oh, there we go. It was nearly there. So if I turn this backwards, it should, I don't know if you can see what I'm up to. If I turn this backwards against the tangs, the tangs should drop in. Though they're just being awkward now. Come on. Do you know what? It went in and out like a dream yesterday. Now it's just being awkward. And if I have still got the, not quite got the ball race lined up properly. Trying to get it so you can see what I'm doing. There'll be one of these that's not quite, hold on a second. That'll be why. One of them had jumped out of its hole. Probably when I was banging it around on the table. There we go. Perfect. Always check your paws are in the right place. Oh, I've just pulled it out here. The cloth got caught on a rough bit. That sounds good. Right, just clear the excess grease off that thread because we've got something else for the pleasure of that thread. Now, if you remember when I took this to pieces, it was a bit graunchy, that thread, and we've got a bit of galvanic interference going on with the two metals. So when we've... Oh, there goes me back again. I think we've covered this in the past with this. Oh, bollocks. It's all going to come apart. I didn't put the split ring back in before I drove that last one in. Right. Let me see if I can get this out without damaging it then. Bring you back in a minute. It's out. A couple of taps did actually shock it through in the end. So just going to get this back in now. Usually put the rounded side to the top. One side's machined flat, the other side's a rounded one. Don't lose it when you put it in here. Put your finger in the middle. So if you just ping off, it's not going to get past your finger. Try and get at least part of the back side fitted in. And then if you need to jiggle it again a bit more, makes life a bit easier. That's just dropped off and it's not gone in the groove in the slightest. Not even in the first part. I don't know where I thought I was shoving that just now. Come on. Now the front's in and not the back. It would help if I could actually see what I'm doing in there. As soon as I try to press the back down, the front's dropping out. Come on. We got it in. I think we have. Always best to check though, so just get something you can just tap it. Make sure it is actually in, because what you don't want is that coming out. I'm not convinced that is all the way in. Right, where's that screwdriver gone? Because that's not much good for ploughing that in. No, might be. It might be. No, that's in. The easiest way to tell is just to get a pick and pull one side, and if it all spins evenly, you know it's in. Right, let's drop the middle back down again. Let's go again. Everything should be lubed up enough. Let's go again. How do we keep doing that? That's one thing that does that bit a lot easier anyway. Right, so we've got sticking it in the wheel. So I'll check my paws are where they should be this time. And back on. There we go, straight in, just as it should be. Right, collar on. This is where we got to last time, wasn't it? I was just about to tell you. Yeah, so we've got some galvanic interference going on, and I just spotted out that we had done that wrong. So what we'll do is just smear a bit of copper slip inside here. I think our septic tank friends, they call it never sees or something. We call it molly slip or copper slip. It's a left-hand thread, so don't forget to draw it up that way around. Right, and that should be tight as well, because you're bearing down on the on the other one. Sounds great, or not great, which is good. Right, just clean all the excess grease off this, because I don't want it attracting up, but then we will rub some on the surface before we drop the other bits on. I've just got to lock this up as well, if I can remember where I put the spangler. I think it was a 5 or a 4. No. Nope. It was the other 5. That one. Right, so we've got to twist this as if it's the opposite way round. So I just want to knock that one down there. And that should not tighten onto it hard. And there shouldn't be any issues with that. I would call that a win. I'm happy with that. Right. While we're on with the lithium grease, I think they use lithium grease on this as well. And I've seen some of them do it in the shops. Lithium grease or normal grease will actually do it. So all you're doing is just putting some down each of the grooves. Job's a good one. I'll just check I'm not missing anything. I've not forgot to put anything in. out because that bearing's open, and it always does make me wonder about that. But it's a sealed bearing, so it shouldn't be a problem. It's got its own seal. Doesn't need another seal. And it's got a seal at the back stopping the ship from going down there. Right. Let's give the other thing a bit more weight. Wait for me back to spasm. Nope. Right, hub's on. That the ultrasonic does a fantastic job of that. I've just dried that. I haven't done any more cleaning to it. So I didn't make you go through the whole performance of putting this back together. You must have seen it a million times already on this. Anybody that wants to see it, just go and watch some of the other videos. As always, though, I will point out that we are using a chain whip to put it on, even though the ratchet does run this way, because we don't want to damage the ratchet. Is this set for 140? Is set for 40 still? Yes, it is. This one seems to work better on the outer ring, I've discovered. Even though it's just fallen off. And that's decided to go and jump onto another set of teeth. Just for good measure. Feels suitably tight. Yep, that sounds great. We shall see if we fix the clicking. Right, where are we? So, what's the video about? So we were chasing down this, oh, there goes the back again one last time. We're chasing down the mysterious creaking noise that we've got. And we appear to have found out that there may or may not have been a duff bearing. So we've got 2 new bearings fitted in this, and hopefully that cures it. Hope that's been useful. Like and subscribe, watch out for the next one coming up, and hopefully back's a bit better.